Marshmallow Fanboy here to talk about Yo-Jo June. Now, it's only the 2nd when I'm recording this, so Yo-Jo June kicked off yesterday with a bunch of stuff that I completely missed. But this morning, when I checked in on social media, I saw I'd missed all of this really good stuff. I was still able to order everything that happened or was revealed or up for pre-order yesterday. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. So I'm going to go through it. But also I'm going to go through some of the digital reveals. And I'm going to talk about some of the pre-orders that we've already gotten. First, we've already pre-ordered a bunch of things. Which, when I saw the things that went up yesterday, I thought, didn't I already order those? I wasn't entirely certain that those things weren't already on the way. But the last time we pre-ordered, we ordered a bunch of really cool new things. And now we're just waiting for them to come rolling in. And I'm a little excited about that. But it did make me sort of hesitate to get the new stuff only because I wasn't sure if I'd already gotten it or not. But a quick look at Hasbro Pulse showed me that everything in the banner was new. And I thought, oh my gosh, I gotta get on that. I gotta order that stuff. So the big dazzle seems to be the new HasLab. Last year's HasLab was the Hiss tank, and I was super impressed with it because while it looks just like the original Hiss tank, of course there's a compartment in the back that holds troopers. And that is a super cool addition. So while I think to myself, gosh, I would have liked a Hiss tank that looked just like the original but was just a little bit bigger, I can't say that I didn't order one of these. I ordered it. I got all of the fixings and trimmings and the add-ons that came with it, including that super cool LED spotlight that comes out of it. I'm super excited for the Hiss tank, and I regret that I only bought one. Now, this June 5th, they're going to introduce another G.I. Joe HasLab. And from the sort of the mock transmission that they've been using for advertising, it's something that can go toe-to-toe with the Hiss tank. And that can be pretty much anything as long as it's not enormous. Like, the USS Flag. Never going to happen. But could we be getting a MOBAT? That's the thing that I'm hoping for the most. Is because if they did that with the Hiss tank, the MOBAT could be motorized. It could hold 2 people in the front, 1 in the turret, maybe a ledge on the back like the Hiss tank has, so that a couple troops can stand on the back of it. Or it could even have a compartment that carries gear and equipment that you can deploy. There were those little things like the rats and the other things like the flamethrower. I'm not coming up with the name. I think one was rat, but you could have something deployable that comes out of the back of the tank, and you set up like an emplacement, a machine gun emplacement, or sandbags or something. Just the amount of cool stuff you could do with the MOBAT is enormous. But you could also do a lot of that stuff with the Vamp, and I'm hoping for that also because you could turn that from a 2-seater to a 4-seater with some space for troops to hang off the back like on the original, and somebody to work the machine gun or turret in the back. That would be super cool. Also, the drivers we would get would be super cool. And later I'm going to go over Grunt, but Grunt would make is a great base body for either Steeler or Clutch. So maybe the All-Striker. The All-Striker isn't my favorite vehicle. It's something that came out with the original, something that came out with the 25th anniversary, and came out either last year or the year before as a Target exclusive when they were doing the 3 3/4 inch re-releases. So the All-Striker is this sort of thing that just appears and it's maybe easy and maybe it's fun. I'm hoping it's not the All-Striker, but if it is the All-Striker, I probably will order it. The Slugger seems unlikely. It was super cool, but I don't know if it could stand up to a Hiss tank. It's not very maneuverable. You can't really turn turn anything. You'd have to turn the whole vehicle. It is a cool looking vehicle though. The Wolverine though, that would be cool. We just got CoverGirl, so Wolverine's not off the table. But I feel like that's probably not what we're getting. A lot of people are saying the Dragonfly is what we're going to get. And I'd love to add a Wild Bill to the collection. That'd be awesome. And a Dragonfly in general would be really, really cool. So I am hoping that maybe it's a Dragonfly. I didn't get the Dragonfly when I was a kid. I had a Sky Striker and I had some other things. But for whatever reason, the Dragonfly wasn't something that I focused on. But the Whale was. I had everything. I had the Mobat, the Vamp, the Slugger, the Wolverine, and the Whale. I didn't have the Striker or the Dragonfly. The Whale is just a long shot. There's just no way we're getting a Whale. Now for yesterday's pre-orders. The first is the Python Patrol Crimson Guard from Target, which I had to remind myself that I didn't have, only because there is a Python Patrol Trooper that I just bought off the pegs a few weeks ago. So the Python Patrol color scheme is fresh in my mind. So when I saw this, I had to look and see if I had it on pre-order or not. Tiger Force Dusty I know is a straight repaint, but the repaints aren't ever going to be everybody's cup of tea. And if you just want the original Dusty, that's cool. And if you don't want to repaint, that's cool too. This figure doesn't really tie to anything, and you don't have to get it. So that's really cool. I just feel like the 25th anniversary was in 2007, and the figures came out for maybe 3 years, and then they ended. And then we had a few 30th anniversary figures, and that ended really fast. I think figures were coming out for like a year, and then that was it. And then we were getting G.I. Joe fan club figures, 12 at a time for something like, well, it was 12 at a time, and then they'd throw in a 13th figure, but they wouldn't tell you necessarily what that 13th was, and the price point was enormous. By the time you had ordered that stuff, it came out to be about $40 a figure. It was enormously expensive at the end. So I'm thinking maybe this figure line goes on for 4 or 5 years and it ends. And I can't remember. I think we're 2-3 years in. So I'm looking for it to sort of end at any time. So I'm super interested in getting everything just to have everything, so I'm not looking for anything. That was an enormously long tirade. There we go. So those two were from Target. Target is easy to buy from since the Cobra Island fiasco. Now everything on Target is pretty easy to order. The Arctic Bat was big when I found out about it. Amazon had already sold out, and it was on Big Bad Toy Store, but it was also on Hasbro Pulse. And as a Hasbro Pulse member, I was just able to order the limit, which is 3. But as of this afternoon, he is sold out on Hasbro Pulse. He's super cool. He's got some new gadgets. The paint job alone is awesome. He's my second favorite bat next to the original now. The Crimson one is okay, and the Python Patrol one is okay, but this one is really exceptional. I like all of the gear, I like the options, and I can't wait to army build more of these. Now Hasbro Pulse exclusive Televiper and the Trouble Bubble. The Trouble Bubble wasn't something that I had when I was a kid, but my friends had it, so I had use of it. I did have a Televiper. Back when I was a kid, I wasn't army building at all. I one of each figure was all I had. But I know that Televipers are army builders and they're not unique characters. And I bought 2 of them. I pre-ordered 2 right away. And now I see that they have 3 heads. So I'm going to need another one. But it is really cool to have an army builder paired with a vehicle. That way I don't have a pile of breakers and a pile of Tiger Force Dukes kind of hanging out for no apparent reason. Now for the digital renders of the revealed Grunt and Crimson Viper. Crimson Viper is pretty much, he's just a Viper with a different paint job. No, there is no different accessories. There's nothing different to him. You could take him or leave him, and that's fine. But if you're army building for Tomax and Zaymot, and honestly, all of this stuff is coming out so close together that I feel like at least a few of us are excited that we're getting a Tomax and Zaymot, and then we're getting Crimson Vipers, and we're getting Crimson Bats, and we're getting Crimson Vipers. I think it's super cool. Tomax and Zaymot could have their own army. That's pretty cool. Grunt is a great figure. Yeah, I love Grunt. I emotionally, I'm like, he's one of the first ones that I got. Back in the day before they had swivel arm battle grip, they had the, it was Grunt and it was straight arms and that H buckle on the center. It was awesome. And he's a great base body for all the figures that we still want. I think he's basically Breaker. I don't have any proof of that, but he'd be a great base body. Between him and Breaker, you have a mix and match for Zap and for Short Fuse and for an original, Hawk and Steeler. It's just a great body to have because there's so many figures they can do with it, and I'm sure they get pestered all the time on, hey, when are we going to get enough figures that we can recreate the cover to G.I. Joe #1 by Marvel Comics back in the 80s? And I think that Hasbro's answer is, well, all we have to do is sculpt a new head and maybe some new hands and give them slightly different gear, and we've got completely new figures that we can use with those base bodies. We can switch out the vests a little bit, give them a little bit of a point of difference, and then we can give you lots of stuff. So I'm really excited about Grunt. The Crimson Viper, I sort of wish it was an Arctic Viper. The paint scheme on the Arctic Bat is so cool that I kind of wish it had been an Arctic Viper. Just something with a little bit better, something that's not another Crimson thing. But I can't complain. I am going to get it. I am army building just about everything. I'm going to get probably a couple of Grunts so that I could have a couple of Steel Brigade members. Ordering 3 of Grunt is like ordering 1 Grunt and 2 Steel Brigade troopers, and then 2 more of the Crimson Viper. So between these 2, that's 5 figures I order. It's a profit to Hasbro. I am definitely their target audience. I have trimmed back on Marvel Legends to compensate, and because I'm waiting for 35% off sales from Hasbro Pulse so that I can buy entire waves at a discount. But I am ordering G.I. Joes at full price, which seems foolish because I know that they've jacked up the prices. But like I said, I think that the figure line has maybe 2 years left and it'll probably leave again and we won't see it for another decade again. Or maybe it's here to stay like Transformers and they'll keep putting it out decade after decade until I tap out. But until then, I'm in for it. So I'll come back to you after June 5th to tell you what I think of the HasLab, which I'm still hoping. My number 1 choice for the HasLab is a Mobat. I would love to have a motorized Mobat. That would be awesome. But until then, enjoy your toys.